Hello everybody. In this example, we're going to be understanding statistical questions. So we're going to start jumping into the basics of stats and how data can be collected and utilized to tell a story. So we're going to start looking at just kind of the overview, the foundations of this. So let's think about when we get interviewed. We answer the questions and that question becomes a piece of the data or a piece of the puzzle. So here is a general question that somebody could come and ask you. In what month is your birthday? And your birthday is only really in 1 month. And so when you look at that information, that's only one small piece of information. We can't infer anything. We can infer that you are born in that month, but other than that, the information kind of dies there. There's no real story to talk about the populace. So what we want to do is we want to gather the information. So the second question says, what month has the most birthdays of students in your school? And here's where the difference is between the two. Question 2 can be answered by collecting many pieces of information and then summarizing them. Right? While question 1 is just using one piece of the information. So let's look at a definition word on statistical questions. So when you go out and you do a survey and you're trying to get data off of it, let's say how many people like chocolate ice cream versus vanilla ice cream, or maybe not even liking ice cream at all. You have to word the question so that data could be collected and used during that question polling. So statistical questions are questions that can be answered by collecting many pieces of information or data and summarizing that data. And the answers to these statistical questions can be summarized in different ways. They could be displayed as bar graphs, line graphs, scatter plots, frequency charts, or even just the data themselves. Most likely with statistical analysis, that was odd. We will use a form of a graph because it's just easier to see the data and see how the data is behaving and things like that. So along those lines, let's take a look at a graph. Here's a graph. Here we have the distance traveled to school as a scatter plot on the left-hand side. Then this represents some students' answers to the question, how far do you travel to get to school? This is a statistical question because it is answered by gathering and summarizing varying data about many of the students at the school. The graph of travel time is a function model because it represents the answer to the question, how long does it take to travel X miles in 20 minutes? And this is a question that has a predetermined answer, and the answer varies predictively with X, so that it's not actually a statistical question. Because again, it's time versus distance, and it's again traveling in 20 minutes. So this is more linear, while the left-hand side is more statistical because we are gathering data from many different peoples. Well, the graph on the right looks like, if I were to take an assumption on it, that it is gathered from one person and basically the pace that they are walking. So the word data is plural noun, so it is used with plural verbs like these datas are or the data includes. However, set and value, which are going to be other words that we're going to bring in here, are singular, so the use of singular verbs from them like this data is or the data value is. So some things when we bring these parts in. All right, so there is kind of like this foundation that we are building into statistical data, statistical analysis, that we're going to start building upon. So the first thing we need to think about is how are we going to gather our statistical information? All right, so I hope if you guys have any questions or concerns, always feel free to ask, and I will catch you in the next video.